So Tucker Carlson had a segment last night. It was really fantastic. His really was like, it's so interesting that he really broke down kind of exactly like how the response to the Great Recession has led to this, how insane the whole banking system is, how it's all about the Federal Reserve, and that it's really, really terrific segment. Highly recommend people go check that out. And then he made another point that I really loved, where he kind of started connecting that 13-year period of 0% interest rates to all the insane things that happened during that period. And like one of the like major themes that I've talked about a lot on this show has been like the wokeism as a tactic, as a divide and conquer strategy, which really, like, it is crazy that there's wokeism as we know it today did not exist before the fallout from the Great Recession. Like it really I mean, like, I'm not saying there was nowhere in like some weird lefty on a college campus was talking about some of this stuff, but it was not like mainstreamed the way it was. It's really hard for like people to like it. Barack Obama, the liberal progressive hero, won in 2008, like very vocally saying that marriage is between a man and a woman and that it would be an attack on Christianity to have anything else. I mean, the idea, if you had asked him, like, is it offensive to say boys are boys and girls are girls or something like that, would have just been like, what is it? Like, that was insane back then. That stuff didn't really start rising up until around 2011, 2012, and it really like ramped up in that period, in those years. And so the point that I've made a lot was that like basically this was all a distraction. It's when you have these huge banker bailouts and you have the worst economy in nearly 100 years, not to mention all the failed wars and all this stuff going on and everything, just the blatant corruption of the establishment that leads to these like mass uprisings on the left and the right. You have the Tea Party movement and Occupy Wall Street, both started over the same thing. I mean, the Tea Party movement was started over those early Ron Paul rallies, and then it was a response to TARP. And Occupy Wall Street was all a response to the banker bailouts. Like, they were all mad at the same thing. And I think that was really dangerous to the establishment. It's like, it's not a coincidence that right as soon as like there's these huge mass populist movements who wanted to talk about how corrupt the banking system is, that every powerful person in this country decided we really need to have a national conversation about chicks with dicks. Like, they decided that's what everything has to be about now. And look, I gotta say, it was somewhat effective. But there's a lot of areas where you see this, like I always talk about the gay pride parade has like these Bank of America floats in them, and they're just like all of a sudden banks got really interested in social justice or whatever, But the point Tucker was making was kind of similar, but a little bit different. And it kind of reminded me of a point that Guy Swan made when he was on our show, where he was talking about like when the money's corrupted in a culture, everything's corrupted. The Tucker was talking about how truly stupid our leadership became in this zero interest rate environment. And there's something to it. It's like how you were just saying, like when the whole game is just getting free money from the Fed and no one actually has to do anything or produce anything or have any like impressive results, that all of a sudden just everyone was getting. I saw a clip just this week of Kaya Jean-Pré, and she's up and they're talking about like the budget. And it's in the middle of this crazy financial moment, and she's just bragging about how like her and there were three women up there. It was like Biden's budget director and her and one other lady, and she just spent a whole period bragging about how they're all the first women of color who have ever done this. Like just this totally like narcissistic, like vapid nothing of celebrating. Isn't it great that we're up here and we look like this and we all had to fight really hard to get here? And you're like, lady, like, we are teetering on economic collapse. And this is what you're talking about. And it's just it's like, wow, we got so insane with this. Now, of course, anyone here is like, we'd all agree that like, yeah, there shouldn't be barriers to someone if they're the best person for the job based on their race or sex or whatever. But like at a time like this, you're like, I just want to know it's the best person for the job. Not really interested to know like that it's like, oh, it's the best person for the job and they look the way we want them to look. It's just so bizarre. And it's really interesting to me, like the connection there between monetary policy and everything else. Like the way that it actually, there's something about like destroying a nation's currency that destroys their soul. It's like they're all really connected. Anyway, it was a great piece by Tucker Carlson the other night. I don't know. Any other thoughts on what you think's going on or what to look for?
If things blow up, you don't care that, well, it was a black lesbian, so at least we had a black lesbian in there. Who cares if we all have no money and have to forage for food and kill our neighbors and, you know, look for loose auto parts to repair your car? There was a black lesbian. We got a black lesbian into a position of power.
Yeah, you're not like dying on an operating room changing table and go, at least I was such a good person that I let a Native American trans person perform the surgery. You know, you're just like, I wish I had the best surgeon.